Thomas Goldstein, a prominent Supreme Court advocate and co-founder of Scott's Blog, is currently on trial in the U.S. District Court of the District of Maryland under the case United States versus Goldstein. Federal prosecutors allege that Goldstein engaged in a long-running scheme involving tax evasion, false tax filings, and financial misrepresentations tied to his personal and professional finances. He has pleaded not guilty, and the case has moved to jury deliberations following this week's testimony and closing arguments. The indictment, originally containing 22 counts and later narrowed to 16 counts, accuses Goldstein of willfully failing to report millions of dollars in income, including substantial higher stakes poker winnings. Prosecutors contended that his earnings totaled of millions in gambling income over multiple years and failed to properly report the portions of those earnings to the Internal Revenue Service. As the additional charges include assisting in the preparation of false tax returns and willfully failing to pay taxes owed, the government also alleges that Goldstein diverted funds from his law firm, Goldstein and Russell, to cover personal gambling debts and other personal expenses. According to the prosecutor, certain individuals were placed in firms' payroll and provided compensation and benefits while performing little or no legitimate work, allowing those payments to be deducted as business expenses. The indictment further alleges that Goldstein made false statements on mortgage loans applications by omitting significant liabilities, including gambling-related debts, in order to secure approximately $2 million in finances. During the trial, prosecutors called the numerous witnesses, including the IRS agent's firm, the employees, and individuals connected to the high-stakes poker circles. Actor Toby Maguire testified regarding a poker-related financial transaction involving redirected funds connected to Goldstein's gambling activities. Goldstein himself took the stand in the defense, acknowledging errors in tax reporting but denying that he acted with criminal intent or knowingly violated federal law. The defense has argued that the case centers on complex financial accounting issues rather than deliberate fraud, maintaining that Goldstein relied on accountants and professional advisors. His attorneys counted the mistakes, even costly ones, do not automatically rise up to the level of the criminal tax evasion, which requires proof of willfulness. The prosecutors, however, have argued that the patterns of conduct demonstrate international deception rather than oversight. When compared to other fraud and corruption cases I covered on this channel, such as discussions around the high-profile financial misconduct or the well-known fraudsters highlighted in your or in my logic of corruption and why fraudsters think that they're right content, the Goldstein case shares several structures of that and similarities. Like many white-collar prosecutions, it centers on the alleged concealment of income misuse of institutional funds and representation made to lenders or regulators that prosecutors claim were knowingly false. It also mirrors other fraud cases in that the center legal battle hinges on proving intent, as juries must distinguish between negligent bookkeeping and willful deception beyond a reasonable doubt. In a broader comparison to other tax and financial fraud prosecutions, this case reflects a familiar pattern: substantial income streams, complex financial structures, and alleged attempts to minimize tax exposure through misclassification or omission. Similar to other prominent fraud cases involving professionals or executives, reputation and prior stature amplify public scrutiny but do not alter the statutory elements prosecutors must prove. Ultimately, as in the other high-profile cases, we've examined the jury's decision will turn on whether the evidence demonstrates a deliberate But as jury deliberations continue, the Thomas Goldstein trial remains a critical example of how the justice system evaluates white-collar financial misconduct. Regardless of the outcome, it highlights the importance of transparency, accountability, and the rigorous standard of proof required in a federal tax and fraud case. Viewers and followers of high-profile legal matters should continue to monitoring this case as it may set precedent for how complex financial crimes are prosecuted in the future. Schemes to defraud or merely financial mismanagement without criminal intent is one thing, but straight out fraud and corruption is another. Thanks for watching the Unfiltered Political Ends podcast, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.